update on a story of interest, not just here in Arizona, but I know across the nation. Just after midnight last night, Maricopa County Sheriff's Office deputies booked Lori Vallow into our ITR facility. One count of first-degree murder, one count of premeditated first-degree murder. She was extradited from Pocatello, Idaho, where she was already in their Department of Corrections there in custody at one of the prisons. We sent 4 deputies there by car. Normally we would fly, our extradition team would fly to pick it up, but because of weather conditions, we felt that it was more predictable and more within our control that if we were going to transport her, that we wouldn't have to deal with any kind of weather conditions or air travel challenges. So our deputies left on the 27th for Idaho, arrived there, stayed for a day to prepare, and brought her back. We sent 2 extradition deputies, a supervisor, and 1 deputy from our K-9 division, but it's just because she's a female deputy. We want to make sure there was a female accompanying suspect Vallow in her travel back. It was about an 18-hour trip. In my statement, as you saw, I talked about the fact that we do about 250 plus extraditions every year. So this is not new for them. The uniqueness or maybe the circumstances involved in this particular case are very high profile and much to the interest of our local and national audience. I don't want to diminish it. It is what we do, as I stated, and we do it very well. Whether it is her or any other fugitive who's wanted in the state of Arizona, we're going to facilitate transfer into our custody so the prosecutor's office can prosecute them effectively. She had her initial appearance at about 2 a.m. when she was remanded without bond. So the case will now be in the hands of the county attorney. While in our custody, at the conclusion of whatever happens with the court case, she will then be returned to Pocatello to their Department of Corrections. So I want to thank them for their cooperation and facilitation of this also. And I also want to just recognize and express gratitude to our team here, the deputies that spent 4 days on the road to bring her back safely. We do have a really, really good video for you, which I can't show you right now, but we'll get it to you of bringing her into the jail where you get a good look at the process, the initial process of her custody. So I don't, there's not a whole lot more depth to it than that. I just want to make sure you heard from me the status of it, and I'm happy to answer a few questions if they're related to this case.
Sure.
I'll start with
I was going to say, will she be kept in any sort of segregated situation, or is she going to be in just booked regularly in which jail?
Yeah, no, that is a good question. She will be. She's deemed to be high security, so she'll be isolated in a high security area of the Estrella jail.
Can you tell us what goes into a process such as this? You've dealt with high-profile inmates in the past. That's not new, but obviously this planning has been going on, I would assume, for some time.
It has, and we wanted to make sure that it was, during my tenure as sheriff, I feel like our focus has always been about being really fundamentally sound and less about the bells and whistles. And the men and women who put the planning and preparation took everything into consideration. Like, as I said, we had challenging weather conditions. The last thing we wanted to do was try to fly and get stuck in an airport, where suddenly now we're in a space where there's a lot of community members and others, and it takes an extensive period of time. If we're going to travel that road, we need to make sure that we have the appropriate vehicles. As I said, we sent a female deputy to make sure that we had a female deputy accompanying a female inmate. We sent those from our FATE detail, and extraditions facilitated this because we're the best at managing any kind of transfer of custody or apprehension of those deemed to be dangerous. And make no mistake about it, sometimes I think we look at a person and judge them by appearance, and we go, well, this is a relatively moderate-sized female. What kind of a threat can she be? She is as much, if not more, of a threat to the harm of others as any other dangerous criminal we've had in our custody. So we figure out the entire route and map the challenges, where we're going to stay, how we make sure that our employees get the rest necessary to come back safely. I think it was an 18-hour drive back. Is that correct? About 18 hours? Yeah. So we'll call it planning an extensive road trip that just happens to include bringing back a dangerous fugitive.
Can you clarify this part, though? You said at some point she'd be brought back to Idaho, to Pocatello, but this court case here, we don't know how long that's going to take. She has an arraignment coming up, and she has an appeal process in Idaho. Will she be housed here for the duration of this case in Maricopa County?
She'll be housed here until the conclusion of her case, and then once there is a conclusion, that the county attorney and their attorney there will have to determine. I would imagine that she'd have to return to spend her time there, and then whatever time, either it's going to be consecutive, concurrent, whatever the outcome is. But I'm just being respectful of the fact that she is in their custody, and now she's been transferred to us for the specific case.
I know initially.
Let me just check the rest of the room before I come back to you. Anybody got questions left? Hey, Rick, how are you, buddy? Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Time,
Yeah, I understand.
What, I guess, I have two, but what was her demeanor like during this process?
I understand that she was very sociable the entire trip. Talked quite a bit.
About what?
Oh, that's between the deputies, the courts, and the prosecutor, apparently. I don't know that she gave any specific statements related to the investigation, but I just know that they said she was very chatty.
And I'll just add to that, I know initially maybe there weren't plans to extradite her until after the appeal process in Idaho was concluded. Why did that change?
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's something probably, I'm sure maybe Rachel Mitchell can answer to, the county attorney. She would know more about the specifics on any court-related elements.
So with that said, who ultimately makes the call? Is it between MCAO and then you, and the green light is given, and then you say, okay, here we go, you guys ready for the trip that we planned? Is Idaho involved in that? Like, who ultimately makes that call? Because this kind of happened pretty quickly.
No, not so much. We just kept it under wraps because we didn't want to, I don't like to talk about things until we execute on them and carry out our duties. So the legal sides of the extradition relative to their willingness to allow us to take custody of her here and hold her for trial here, that takes place at the prosecutorial level. Once there's a green light that she is going to be available for us to extradite here to Arizona, then we take it from there and do all the planning and handle all the operations.
Was it you said it was an 18-hour drive back. Was it nonstop? Did you guys have to stop anywhere to rest, or just kind of what is that like when you have to drive someone like this across the country?
Well, I just know on drives that long, it's usually my family saying, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" But it's just, stop for gas, stop for food, stop for rest stops, and make sure that we're being accommodating to the needs of the inmate. But get here as quickly as you can, without it being a danger to. As I said, we had 4 deputies, so I'm going to presume that they took turns driving, or if not, that they took time to rest, but they got back safely.
And there was no issues along the way?
No.
At rest
No.
What's the convoy situation like? How much squad cars or just
In this case, we used 2 4-wheel drive vehicles because we were going to be dealing with potential weather conditions. Not much more complicated than that.
for security staff?
4.
And I know we can't see the video, but we'll watch it later. Can you expand more what we'll see in the video when we do?
Yeah, I think you guys use the term perp walk. It's just her coming into the back parking lot of the ITR, being brought into the facility, a short, exposure to the search process, transfer her into the, the jail clothing, and then at that point she just, goes into a cell waiting on her initial appearance. So it just gives you exposure to our team bringing her into the jail and getting a good look at this fugitive who's now in the custody of Maricopa County Sheriff's Office.
Any idea how much it costs to extradite her?
No, but I can get you that number. That's a good question. It's not cheap, but it's obviously money well spent.
Obviously, there was families that were impacted here.
Yeah.
Just what would you like to say to the families that were impacted here now, knowing that there's at least one step closer to closure in this case?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. When I spent a lot of time working with victims, as you guys know, when I was by former agency. All that matters is, I pray for them, that their hearts will find a way to heal as best you can with significant loss like this. When it comes to the justice side of the ledger, the scales, I don't know that, successful prosecution, what the punishment is. I don't think there's anything that occurs in that space that really fills that void, and I don't know that. I'm sure some family members feel passionate about it. Others just kind of want to have their own path to overcoming this. So for me, just from one human to another, my heart breaks for them. Anybody who suffered loss at the hands of an evil person like this, and I pray that they'll find peace.
Was there a time that the sheriff's department
We do. We have a plane that we use for extraditions. It's really just distance circumstances, because it's not a commercial plane like you'd see. The majority of our extraditions occur through commercial transport. But again, now you're dealing with circumstances where you're going to be in an environment with a lot of other people who are just community members and unaware of the circumstances, so it enhances the danger slightly. If you go into a location and suddenly there's a storm and your flight is delayed, then you're sitting in an airport for hours, if not days, delayed because of that. And we wanted to mitigate any of those potential unexpected obstacles, unexpected challenges to make sure that we could get her back as quickly as possible.
Obviously, she's an accused murderer in this state, but overall, she was found guilty and convicted in Idaho. Have you followed the case at all leading up to this?
I don't, no. I mean, I'm familiar as much as you guys have reported. My team has briefed me, and it's not because I'm not interested, but I have a lot of other things that are pressing, timely, and specific to this organization that I focus on. So I know the devastation that's been left in the trail. I know the importance of making sure that this office handles our business professionally and efficiently. And, you know, just to give you some context, as I said, 250 plus of these transfers a year that our extraditions team does. And our FATE team who participate in, they're approaching 1,000 arrests of fugitives that are extremely dangerous, and many of which, if I threw out some names, you wouldn't even know who they were, but they're getting them off the streets made the community a safer place. All right, listen.
Estrella right now.
Yeah, is she at Estrella? Is that where we got her? Yeah, that's our jail for female inmates, so she'll be housed there. We will get you the video immediately as soon as you leave here.
Just clarify the charges too. I think the courts have two different counts of conspiracy to commit murder. And
Yeah, on the booking sheet, what I have is murder in the first degree, and then murder first degree premeditated. The conspiracy element is more of like a, I'm trying to think of the correct term, but just, you know, it has to do with the process on how it was played out with others and everything. But at the end of the day, she's in for 2 counts of first degree murder, 1 premeditated. Yeah.
I also just have a quick question. Is that pretty
You're
typical?
not hiding over there on me.
trying to become invisible. But,
Sure.
How common is that to kind of opt for the drive? I know you said weather played a main role, but in these sort of high-profile cases, is that more common because of not language around?
I wouldn't say that it's uncommon. It's not something that happens frequently, but it's remove the name, remove the circumstances with the exception of it is a person wanted for a violent crime. Anytime we have that kind of heightened threat because of the danger of the other members of the community, then we're going to look at all these other factors that could impede or delay our travel. And if we feel like those things outweigh the benefit of getting in a car and driving, even though it's inconvenient, then we're going to get in a car and drive and do whatever's necessary to keep people safe. So it wasn't just so much her, it was all the circumstances involved. Yeah. All right, again, I apologize for the technical difficulties. I appreciate your guys' time. Gratitude to our office and the men and women who do exceptional work every day. God bless.